everyone and welcome. Yes, my name is Arrowfire and welcome back to another episode of Look Out and Shout. And today, at long last, we are reviewing Maketoys Contactshot. MTRM-06 to be exact. This is their version, the illustrious, elusive version of Pointblank. Now, there is some talk about what this is. So this is, to give you a bit of background, this is Maketoys' version of Pointblank. So they did this figure about 6 years ago, and that's fine. It was somewhat scarce. You couldn't really find too many copies out there. Then with Maketoys, who don't really do many second runs, third runs, fourth runs, and then went quiet for a very long period of time, this became incredibly sought after and very, very hard to find. And it was very common to see this on the secondary market for something like £200. I've even seen 210, 220, 230, 250 in some cases. It gets extreme. Now, I did want this. I didn't want to pay that much for it. So tracking one of these down has been very difficult. Now, in true Maketoys fashion, and I believe this, I think they hand out their designs. Yes Model have sort of used their designs and done their own fourth party version, but I think there's enough talk about it online, and there's certainly been the timing of it to suggest that there is a bit of getting into bed with each other between Maketoys and Yes Model. They're happy for these designs to be used, whether they're surplus stock or stock they can't sell under the Maketoys banner. They're happy to sell the design on and maybe get a percentage of the cut. You can get some of these figures, their Chrome Dome and their Hardhead, you can get these for a third of the price to retail, or at least half. And that is what I think we maybe have here. So this is listed as a remastered version, a reissued version, whatever you want to call it. It is still going up with the Maketoys name, but a lot of people are saying for the price point this is less than what it originally retailed for, again by about a third, half, two-thirds, something in that region, to suggest this isn't Maketoys fully product. Now, one thing I will say about the box, and you might not see it on camera, it's a little bit faded. If you look at it, it looks like it's been photocopied to me. It looks like it's got everything on it. It's got all the logos and it says 2016. But I don't know. I wouldn't be at all surprised if this is another Yes Model work, a actual willing recreation, a fourth party knockoff, but with blessing. I think that's what we're dealing with here. Now, of course, this was sent to me by the good friends at showzstore.com, and you know what to do at this point. Yes, if you go to their website, if you happen to use their website, and if you go to the top of the homepage, you will see a text box saying support your favorite reviewer code. If you can be so kind to enter the code FIRE1, FYRE1, before you do any pre-order or purchase outright, and that will then enable some points to go onto my account and therefore use towards purchases to therefore lead to reviews. And here we are, that's how this one's been bought. Thank you very much to all the support so far. Also want to do an extended shout out to Showz Store. Thank you very much for your ongoing support as well. But in terms of the box itself, it comes with some very nice artwork and some sort of product shots on the back of it with the various accessories that you get, which I'll go into in later detail. Inside the box, there's not too much to see other than, say, the figure itself. It comes with its instructions and a plastic shelling with all the accessories inside, which will fall out if I open it. So we've been waiting for this for a long time. Let's get a look at the figure itself, shall we? And here he is in his robot mode, and it's great to finally get him here in this pose. The style that he comes with straight out of the box, the head he comes attached with, is the Japanese Headmaster style head. He does come with a Western version as well, but the figure as a whole looks lovely. The colours really do work, and I'm aware this is an older bot. I'm aware that it might not have such updated engineering that it once did, or it was good at its time, which has maybe been surpassed now. But to finally get this in hand after what is a really hard to find figure, certainly really hard to find for the price it's been commanding on the secondary market, really does feel special to get it here, and it does not disappoint in hand. It's of a good size. It's not particularly die-casty straight out of the box. It's mostly plastic, but it's good, dense plastic. Rubber tires, always a plus from me. But it just looks good and fun at the same breath. This is what Maketoys can do at this particular time with their other offerings as well. It's just as good as that or as anything else out there. Let's get in for a closer look. So if we get him in closer, you can see he's got his Target Master as well with Peacemaker, and it's really nice. The blue really lights up well under the light. The red has got a reflectiveness to it. The head is maybe a bit placid, a bit nothing on the facial expression, but what he does come with is good size, good build, and he just looks cool. He's got kind of a Future Cop kind of vibe, maybe RoboCop kind of style, but honestly, it's really nice. I have got a bit of looseness, I think, on this particular shoulder pad. That's nothing that can't be tidied up. Now, of course, I will say, I don't know if this is a KO or not. I don't know if this is a secondary design or not. Maketoys have in the past, I think they've offered out their designs to the likes of Yes Model. They've actually sold their designs off and said, yeah, you can make them, you can use them, you can sell them. Sometimes you see them with the Yes Model name, sometimes you don't. Now, I don't know. I can't compare this to the original release, so I can't say this was on the original release and this wasn't. But what I can say is how this particular bot feels. I think it's absolutely fine. It's okay, maybe it's got a couple of tolerance issues here and there, nothing that can't be fixed. And certainly for what you're paying for this figure, £80 or less, that's brilliant. You can't argue with that. And I've had no trouble with the other versions of the Maketoys figures. So yeah, he gets typical rotation, ratchets at the hips, and heavier, tighter ratchets for that type of rotation at the knee. A bit of an ankle tilt, really not a lot though. That's again where I think the older engineering comes into play. Does come with a waist rotation, which is a bit tight, but it's there, which is more than you can say for some other ones, some more modern releases. Again, with this kind of floppy shoulder pad out the way, you get friction, shoulder outwards and sidewards, bicep rotation, elbow, and it's a bit of a double jointed elbow as well, which will help for posability, and a bit of a head look up, but it does knock up the separation to the neck, which again, I think there's just been a few more modern advancements. But that being said, I think he looks spectacular. Taking off his accessories, his spoiler, which he uses as a shield, comes off his arm, as well as Peacemaker, who actually has a faux front cannon, which I can understand to get the kind of range, but at the same time, that's a fair bit of parts forming to go from maybe that, a more naked version, to that with a full blaster cannon effect. And it actually transforms up quite well into Peacemaker. It is quite a good transformation, particularly around the back, how that long cannon folds back in on itself. I think that's one of the better Target Masters out there in terms of transformation. He actually folds out quite nicely and looks quite good in the prospect. And there they are, just chilling out together. So in terms of other heads, he comes with his Western copy, which again is much more accurate to the Rebirth. But for this head that he has on at the moment, it comes with a more shouty face that he has on at the moment. But for the Rebirth face, he comes with a visor look and a more placid face, and also comes with a more shouty Rebirth face. And that's all the accessories you get with him. And that is him with his more Rebirth style head on and shouty face. It's a little awkward getting them on. You've got to get the face panels and everything to line up. It's fine taking it off. And when you apply it, you've got to push onto this neck base, which is a little bit flimsy to get the power behind it to push it down. That's what it looks like with it on. It's maybe not completely G1, but that is a more G1 look than what he comes with. But I almost prefer the one he comes with. Okay, and time for some comparisons. Here he is alongside a Maketoys own version of Chromedome, their Cupola. This is Maketoys, not a Yes Model re-release. Yes Model Iron Will, the Maketoys design of their version of Hardhead, There is some similarities in terms of tolerances with these two here, just things here and there that come a little bit loose. Not terrible, but you can see similarities. Fans Toys Lupus, their version of Weird Wolf. This is of course Headmaster to Target Master. Weird Wolf in an upcoming review very, very soon. Fans Toys Chomp, their version of Skull Cruncher. Fans Toys Jabba, their version of a G1 Blur. Still a Target Master, but kind of going for different scale ranges at this point. This Blur is much more scaling in line with MovieBot Masterpiece than, say, the Rebirth series. And to complete off the Rebirth series, here he is alongside Fans Toys Sovereign. Not really a character he's squared up against, but did appear in the Rebirth along with the other characters nevertheless. And for some comparisons, here he is in the middle, Peacemaker alongside the other Headmaster offerings as well as the Target Masters in the background. Now, of course, Peacemaker is indeed a Target Master himself, but you're seeing different ranges made by different companies now. So in theory, Peacemaker should be the same size as the 3 at the back, and the 4 in the foreground should really just be Headmaster size, but we're kind of led to believe that while scale is a bit of a funny thing in Transformers, is that all of these guys are much the same size, standing shoulder to shoulder. But yeah, quite a little collection on the go now. Okay, let's get him transformed up, shall we? And here he is in his vehicle mode. And that is a very smart looking vehicle mode. I love this type of phase of Transformers when you're looking at car of the future. Very Batman, very just a highly advanced car that you will not find on the road. And this is almost a bit silly in as much as Transformers were meant to be hiding in plain sight. They were to blend in with modern vehicles. You are not going to find this on the road anywhere, but it looks fantastic. It was a okay transformation. It wasn't brilliant, but it wasn't terrible. I've certainly had worse if you've watched my last video. It's good. It tabs in when you eventually get things in the right order. It uses the gun into the spoiler. The only thing I will say is the front hood has a tendency to pop out for where it tabs into the bonnet, that which opens up into the cockpit, which I can get the little Peacemaker, the little Target Master inside. I'll show you what I mean. And I find that you can get him in there, but you've got to really kind of squash him down, comprise him down. But he is in there, he's tucked away, so he won't go jumping out anywhere on you. He also has these cool missile launcher effects at the front, which again just lends into that futuristic car vibe. You can see, though, how it causes things to untab a little bit. But I really like it. I think it's just a big futuristic blocky car. Let's get in for a closer look. And you see what I mean? This is not exactly a small car, but you do really get some Batman vibes from it, or even Knight Rider. There's a lot to like here. Some nice little flame stickers on the side of it, nice little decor towards the back. I mean, it is dated perhaps, but there's fun to be had here. It cleans up fairly well, and it wasn't too bad in transformation. There's a lot to like. Now, I will say, rubber tyres, it's all well and good. Does it roll? Barely. The wheels move, but they're very snug to the wheel arch. I would have liked them to have extended downwards, and I don't believe they can, but I would like them to have come down maybe on a hinge just to add a bit more ground clearance. As cool as it looks, I don't like it when it just kind of drags itself on the floor. But yeah, it is cool nevertheless. Okay, this is going to be interesting doing comparisons with something of this size. Here's a more recent release of Legacy Armada Universe Optimus Prime, just to see the scale of what we're dealing with here. Different classes, of course. Much more in the same class now. Here he is alongside Masterpiece Rodimus Prime. That's actually quite a good scale. Yeah, he probably wasn't an awful lot smaller than that. I know in the Rebirth, Hot Rod was indeed Hot Rod and not Rodimus, but I would say that would probably size up about right. Rise of the Beast Scourge, again, different classes, but gives you an idea of scale. And again, some Masterpiece scale car bots just to show you what we're dealing with here. It's just a bit of a shame he can't sit on him as a Target Master anyway. So what are my final views on Contactshot? I've kept him in this mode for the minute, but I will be storing him in robot mode. I'm so pleased to finally have it in a collection. I think it has a sense, again, of a holy grail, one of the ones you never really thought you'd get, or would get, but you'd have to pay a lot of money to do so. And I'm not unsatisfied with my purchase. I really am pleased with it because I think it's a sense of, it is a good figure, and I'll get into the plus points and negative points in a minute, but it's a sense of, you've always wanted this, and there's the added satisfaction of you got it for way less than you thought you were going to get it, and it's a good figure as well. So it's ticking boxes all the way along. So let's go into what I like about it. It's got tremendous, I don't want to say fun value, it has got fun value, but it's doing the basics right. It looks good, it feels good, it has good articulation, it has a fair transformation, it has a nice alt mode. It's ticking all the boxes. And the price, I hate to bring it in as a factor as I always seem to do, but it is another factor. It's relatively cheap by Masterpiece gauging or range, and putting all that together, you leave yourself very satisfied with it. You think, do you know what, that is a good bot. That is a good version of Pointblank. I keep wanting to call it Contactshot like it's a Contactshot character. It's just the name of the product. I do wonder if this is a knockoff because I just have one or two slight tolerance issues with it, and I do wish maybe the wheels had a bit better clearance here and there. But I think possibly what holds this figure back is its age. I mean, come on, we're talking 6 bordering 7 years now. Now there is advancements in engineering, and each figure that comes out does a bit more. There's a butterfly joint here and there. There's an ab crunch here and there. There's more ankle tilt here and there. And that's probably the only thing I'd say about this is it's maybe a victim of its time and its engineering. And I can't blame it too much. It's an older figure. It says on the box 2016. So it is exactly what it says on the tin. But what it is, if you're a fan of Pointblank, and if you're a fan of the Rebirth, you've got to really get it. It's because it's kind of doing so much for you. If you're not a Masterpiece collector, you can stick yourself with the Chuck version. That's all well and good. But it's got so many plus points to it. The transformation perhaps was a couple of bits you had to do a certain way, which got a little bit, not tiresome, but tiresome. I'll call it for what it is. But it wasn't a disaster. It still has its fun scale to it. I do have, I don't want to say concerns, but there is a couple of tolerance issues. As I say, the shoulder pad, I do struggle getting the head back on a little bit. You really have to push that down. Interchangeable heads can be a problem depending on who you buy from, and it's a bit awkward in this case. But when I've got it all side by side with the other figures I've got with Fans Toys and Maketoys, doing the Headmasters, the Target Masters, oh, it looks right at home, and it does feel very completion. I love it. I love this alt mode, and really, when you think of it, this is possibly the best look we get of Pointblank, because how many scenes do you think we see of him clearly in the Rebirth series? 3, maybe? In alt mode? 2, perhaps? You see him racing alongside Rodimus, Hot Rod, and you get to kind of take your time here. I do think Peacemaker is one of the better Target Masters, or Headmasters, or whatever you want to call them, out there. I think the transformation is quite ingenious, how this incredibly long cannon, yes, a faux cannon, parts forming, but nevertheless how it all crumples up into his backpack, and I think that's quite cool. I realise I'm camouflaging with him right now, but he is quite good. He hasn't quite got the pointy ears that maybe the cartoon showed, but still, I like how he looks. I like the detail they've applied. Now, the only thing I say is I cannot compare it. If someone's going to say to me, how does this compare to an original proper Maketoys release? I don't know. I've never had that version. I can only review what I've got in my hand right now. I'd like to say this more or less sticks to the design of the Maketoys version. If it was a handed down design, then I wouldn't be at all surprised. Again, just because it's a knockoff, just because it's a fourth party, does not mean it's bad. If you're a fan of Pointblank, to get this for £80 or under is an absolute steal. I actually mentioned this on Transformers The Show recently. I always find it incredibly frustrating that it is being charged up to something like £200 for... Is this a £200 figure? No. I'll tell you it's not. It's good, I like it, I'm very glad I've got it. I'm also very glad I didn't pay £200 for it, because it's not a £200 figure. Certainly not with its age as well, and its limitations since that and advancements elsewhere. Is it an £80 figure? £70, £60 figure? Absolutely. You cannot go wrong with under £100 for this. It's good fun. I mean, look at that alt mode. I'm getting real Robocop vibes, futuristic car vibes, almost Batmobile as well. There's a lot to like here. And again, I'm just so happy to have it in my collection. I do hope Maketoys carry on with this. They have a tendency to go quiet for long spells. They've teased us with Highbrow. We've also had teasings before, Brainstorm. You think they've got to finish the Headmasters before Fans Toys come along, but they're just taking their sweet time to do it. But I'm hoping if we're starting to see the name being thrown around a little bit and a little bit of good praise, and with a lot of luck, we can actually get somewhere with this. And based on that, I give this figure 4 Rodimus Star Badges out of 5. Really like it, really glad I've got it. It's one of those things that I was a bit concerned waiting so long, and then a knockoff version comes up. You think, oh, is this going to be maybe not as good as I wanted it to be? But it was. It was arguably better, particularly when I saw the price point, what I was paying for it. What I've got for what I pay for it, I'm really not unhappy, and it is a recommendation from me. And there we go. That is my review of Maketoys, presumably Maketoys, Contactshot, their version of Pointblank. And there we go. Made myself laugh now. And there we go. That is my review of Maketoys, presumably Maketoys, Contactshot, their version of a Pointblank. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you on the next one.